Uh-huh. I like it.
Yeah. Or not fresh air, but just, salvation and purity and goodness and, wonderfulness in the desert. Too much madness in the world. Too much madness. Too much madness. Yeah.
True. How are you doing today?
Yeah. I'm all right. I'm all right. Just been trying to help Sher there.
Hmm.
Jessica, whose daughter was also the one Zoom, is talking about CJ. It's like stress. So,
Well, that's not
but
good.
came good resolution. You look overview perspective and all this. I
Right.
was saying to Sher that, she's at the point now where she's sort of forced to take radical action,
Oh,
which she doesn't want to do, but she has no choice because he's already become physically violent, and
What,
now he's.
what, I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
when was there something in particular that happened that caused this shift, or has this just been like
No,
happening over a while?
no, it just kind of build up, just spinning immersion into superiority paradigm loop,
Okay.
completely and everything's unfair against me, and just all of that shit, right? But it's just spiraling. It's a temporary madness, in other words. So the brain gets re-emphasized, all this, and of course it starts upping the ante and upping the ante, and then
Right.
the more you get into that, you start believing it. Well, of course, the next thing is physical dominance, physical violence, all this shit, right? So now at least, well, she's already tolerated more than I would have. That first time, that's when you've got to absolutely go fucking nuclear,
Right.
right?
Right.
No, 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 absolutely not. And even see it coming, because once it's happened, it's too late,
Right.
right? I always tell this to new couples that are getting together. And I don't mean newly married, because by that time it's typically too late already. But, on that first date, we're going out, and that's
Right.
it. You're in that phase. At that point, resolve both of you to never, ever, ever argue with each other.
Right.
Ever. Once you cross that line, there's no coming back from it, right? So this is the same thing with physical violence. You've got to stop it before it happens. But anyway, it's too late now. And unfortunately, Sher is her history is she's more tolerant of this than she needs to be, and she doesn't want to be, but still, she's able. No, it's a mess now. So anyway, now she's got to take remedial action, and this is a screw up, right? Which of course she doesn't want to do. She's not keen on doing, but So I said, look, I've been in many situations where I had one choice,
Mhm.
one. And that one choice was magical. Now, like when we went to the desert, are you sure you guys want to stay? Are you sure we'll take you back? Are you sure? Right? 100 times. Yes, yes, yes. Luckily, at that point already, we had the sense to recognize that even though it was our only choice, it was our only choice.
Right.
And because of that it was a magical choice,
Mhm.
which means we didn't go in with trepidation and reservation and, oh God, this is horrible and this is going to suck. No, we went in with excitement and eagerness, with that innocent trust of knowing that there was no other option. This is right. And when you have that rightness behind you, it's profound.
Right.
It's profound.
Yeah.
It's a very big deal. So I pointed this out to her, and she's been in similar situations,
Mhm.
So, just stuff like that. But yes, it's wonderful. But, I'd rather be dealing with joyful stuff. Right?
Right.
Yeah, much rather. Talking about fun things,
Yes.
just just to completely, like when you eat your dinner courses, right? When you very fancy pants, I mean, like severely fancy pants, yes.
Right.
Then between courses, you get the little bowl. It's got a little stand, a little bowl, right? It's got a stand to it, but it's all incorporated anyway. And with that, you get this tiny little teaspoon. Have you seen them? Little super
Yep.
tiny teaspoon. You get the sorbet, right? And you put on your tongue, and it cleans the palate. Okay. So we're gonna do some. We're gonna have some sorbet. All
Okay.
right. All right. So tell me which of these you like and which you do not like.
Oh, there we go.
Well, just which you like, right? So we're gonna pick 25 out of the 50, or yeah, 24. 24. We're gonna pick 24 out of the 50.
Which
Yeah.
I like in terms of just which are engaging or interesting looking.
Yeah. All right. So November, cover of the month, third round. Kindly vote for the best 24 covers that deserve to go to the next round.
Okay.
So cover of the month. So I don't know, whatever criteria. I'm trying not to, influence too much, but I suppose I have to tell you what it's all about. Yeah, give you some indication.
Yeah.
All right. All right. So just say vote or not vote. And if I voted for it, then I'll unvote for it. I'll just go
Oh,
with your choice right here. So yes, no.
well, I kind of have to see. I mean, it depends, if you can only vote for 24 or whatever, then you
Which is half, right?
got
So we get half of them. So it's
okay.
actually quite difficult. If you just say which ones you like, you'll see it's quite difficult to get to the number that you. Well, for me anyway, I kind of struggle to get there. I have to be very loose in my criteria. As it is, I'm one short. So
Right, right.
you know what? I think.
I'm gonna say
Yeah,
I like that one and I like the Immortals one just because they have interesting colors in them.
yeah. I can't undo. I thought I could undo my vote, but I can't. See, it says already voted for this. Now how do I unvote for it? Oh, okay. All right.
Huh.
Okay. So you like Immortals? Well, we'll
I like
click
that
again.
one. I like the false reflections. I like the one with the wolf on it, which I think you had selected, but it unselected it.
Yeah.
Um,
I can't unselect them, unfortunately. Yeah. See, look, it just tells me you already voted for this. I
well,
thought
but
it would toggle it on and off.
right, but see, like it just took now that that one's selected, it took Immortals off. So there must be
How do you mean?
right.
Oh no, no, no. It's just where my cursor was lost. Yeah.
Oh,
So
so why is the other one still orange?
because I can choose it. Yeah, yeah. It's choosable.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a peculiar system. It's a
That is very
peculiar system. Yeah. Yeah. Very
okay.
odd.
Yeah, I like the House on Fire one and the blonde girl.
The House on Fire one, which is the House on Fire one.
Number 7.
Oh, crystal blue. Oh, I didn't vote for it because I can't read what's underneath there. If I squint and look closely, okay, I can see it's crystal blue. Is it murder or Mulder? Yeah,
Yeah.
it's murder. Okay. All right. So I don't like to vote for them when I can't read what the hell's going on. All right. Same thing. The girl with stars, well, in her faces. Oh, eyes. Okay. I mean, I can, but when I've got to struggle to read, that earns me about like this. It's like, what the hell are you saying
That,
here?
yeah,
Okay,
I don't like that
yeah, yeah,
font.
right.
Um,
I don't want to be working for what I do. Like this is a fancy font, but I can clearly read what it is, and it
right?
conveys the mood. So right. So I'm assuming you like Honeysuckle Bell too, yes?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm
What
not
about Shadow Island?
I'm not a big fan of the shoe, the silver lining. That's like it's
Yeah. It's one of those where I'm like, well, okay, it at least caught my attention. See, so it's
right.
it's not giving me a negative. I don't really know what you're about, but at least you draw my eye to it. Yes, as opposed to this one, which doesn't really draw my eye. You
Oh,
know.
see, I think that one draws my eye. I mean, the other one draws my
Oh,
eye
interesting.
from it being ugly, I think. But I mean,
Ah,
I
okay,
guess
okay.
that,
All right. Well, we've got one vote to play with, so we'll maybe
well,
we'll go.
yeah. I mean, we haven't looked at all of them, so
Right, right. So I haven't clicked yet. We'll wait and see. It's in the running. It's in the running. Okay. Okay. So yeah, timeless love. You got the clock and you got the swing. Now it's very interesting, right? We also have to sort of be a little bit aware of the current sort of flavor of things. Uh, dark dark romance is a
mm,
very big deal. Yes. I mean, there's a subgenre now called like mafia romance. I mean, billionaire romance, I'm assuming,
right,
right? But
right.
now there's mafia romance and dark romance called dark romance.
Yeah,
So these darker covers are very indicative of this flavor. It's not. I
right.
mean, back a little while back, this would have been a very poor cover, but now it's actually a plus. But you have to be in. I'm not in the romance field. I just peripherally keep and awareness, because I like to know what's going on. But so in that context, you know what I mean? This is a very positive cover for the
Right.
genre. I mean, same thing, you know, it's very cheesy, but these covers sell and they work. This is a good cover, right? Regardless of the fact that I personally don't like it, it's still
Right.
a good. Yeah. So I try to be objective and vote for the stuff, you know, I don't know. At some point, maybe I'm going to get into trouble and, you know, oh, I saw your preferences. You were clicking on all these butch pictures of guys on covers. It's like, all right, we see now where you at.
Right.
I don't know, you know, the algorithm may pick it up, but I was just trying to be objective, algorithm.
Yeah. I like the Awakened cover. That's a pretty one.
Oh, yeah.
I like the Sacred Geometry, although it's a little
Yeah,
um
I agree.
what's the word I'm looking for? Maybe kind of dated looking, I want to say,
Yeah, a
but
little out of time. A
it's
little too, yeah.
the colors are pretty. It draws my attention.
Yeah,
Um,
and at least exactly it makes you look, and well, you know, it's nonfiction,
right.
so nonfiction is very difficult to do covers for compared
Yes.
to stories, right? And so yeah, this was, I thought, at least it got you, and you know, the people that are into the sacred geometry, they are likely living in the past a little bit,
Right.
so
Right.
yeah. Yeah, yeah. Keep going, keep going. This is fascinating. This is just really, I just loving this. This is a great fun. This is brilliant.
Huh. It's an interesting.
The
I'm
next
looking.
line here.
I'm looking at the glue cover. In
Yeah, yeah,
in theory, it's a very creative cover
yes,
with the
yes,
face and everything. I don't
yes,
really like it. It looks like a
exactly.
duck to me somehow.
Yes, yes,
Which
and also the glue, because it was so specifically gluified. At first, is this a home thing? You know, do it yourself type of a book or what? Right?
right, yeah. I don't I'm not I don't know.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I'm not really a fan of it, but I can see that there was a lot of creativity that went into it.
Right,
I
right.
can
It's
appreciate that.
creative, but it doesn't work, I
Yeah,
think. Yeah, right.
I
I
agree.
feel the same way. I liked it. You know, I actually didn't even see the face until now because I was put off by the glue bottle and the word glue. Um, uh, it's too banal for the topic, I
Yeah.
felt. So yes, top marks for creativity, but you're not connecting back to the drawing board. Wonderful. The feedback is too fantastic. Absolutely love this. Absolutely
I
love
like the
this.
colors in
Keep
Broken Wings.
going.
I like the colors on
Yes,
the Broken
yes.
Wings cover. However, I think because it looks like I'm assuming that's some kind of like war related book, and
Yeah,
I
yeah,
tend to
yeah,
really
yeah,
despise like war related fiction, which is funny
yeah,
because I think that's like a very popular genre and I hate it.
yeah,
So
yeah,
just the visual of that like immediately puts me
yeah,
off of the book, even
yeah,
though
yeah, yeah.
theoretically I like the cover. I don't like the genre, so
Now, it may not be war. It may just be a passenger, you know, old prop passenger
but
plane.
I mean, but it's interesting to me
Correct,
that like that's what like for me that's
correct,
what this
correct,
evokes.
correct.
So
Right,
regardless of whether
right.
that's not what this
Yeah,
is about
yeah,
as a
yeah.
cover,
Right,
that's what
right,
it's communicating to me, and I don't. It makes
right.
me like not want to be
Yeah,
involved
I
with.
agree. I mean, the fact that there's the smoke in it, that it's going to crash. I mean, if this is, a survivor thing, they crash in the Andes and all that, then I feel the cover is a bad cover. I definitely feel this is giving a military some
Yeah,
kind of a vibe
yeah,
to it. Absolutely. So, yeah, if that isn't what it is, then it would be a bad cover. I'm giving it marks for a good cover for the genre.
right.
It totally lends itself.
Yes,
So whether I like, I'm trying to be objective there. And it caught your eye, and it was kind of very simple and not overly complicated. I don't know what this is,
I
interestingly
don't
enough.
know.
Yeah. Military is it's absurd the amount of subgenres.
Mm,
Forget regular military, just military science fiction. It's
yeah.
unbelievable. Space Marines and God knows what all. It's too fantastic. It's quite incredible. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Brilliant, brilliant. But I love this feedback. Keep going. This is genius. This is awesome. I'm really enjoying this.
Okay. What about the next line?
That was it. None on that line then, all right? Except for broken wings, maybe. Wonderful, wonderful. Love
Uh,
it. I could make it a bit bigger if that will help.
I'm laughing at the cat napped by the Catman cover. That
Yeah,
not even
yeah,
the
yeah,
cover, the name of the
yeah,
book. Funny.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um,
I
so
mean, okay, the only reason I didn't like on this one is because at first when it's smaller, now made it bigger, you can clearly see now what's going on. But I do judge them on the smaller, and I should put it back to that because this is how I'm going to see it on Amazon, the
right,
same size, right? And so it doesn't help that it looks wonderful big. It's got to look right here.
yeah,
So this was a bit murky, but again, actually, I might vote for this because, well, that's the genre, you know, and cheesy is the genre, right? So you cannot have a sophisticated non-cheesy when people want cheesy,
right. I
right?
guess
Right.
if I'm just going off of which of these make me interested in reading the book, or just knowing more about the book,
Yeah.
that one, no, it just makes me laugh. And no, thanks. Um,
Yeah.
I like the beginning of Forever cover. The font is awful.
The beginning of forever. Which one is that? This one here. Is this the
Yeah,
beginning of forever?
the
I
font is
can't. I can't read it. You see?
yeah, the
Yeah.
font
I,
is
I
awful.
mean,
I like the
yeah,
picture. I
yeah,
like,
yeah. Me too. That's why I clicked because I like the picture. The name didn't actually matter. I actually did click on this one, and it didn't take it for some reason.
yeah,
You
I like
know,
that
I
one.
actually like this.
I like that one as
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, this one I will certainly click on. I want to save my click though, but this certainly will count. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I wonder if I click on that, if then it will allow me to cancel others. Once I get to the 24. Anyway, we'll see when we get there.
yeah.
I mean, this is just horrible, is it not?
You know, I like the picture. Like I like the art. It's a
Oh, all right,
painting,
right.
but
Yeah,
it doesn't really tell
yeah,
me anything about the book itself. And the
right.
font
Yeah,
is
yeah.
like really jarring with it's
Horrible. Right,
not
right, right,
the
right.
picture itself is really cool, but it does
Yeah,
not make
yeah.
me interested in, and it doesn't tell me anything about the book.
Yeah, that's what I liked about this one. And again, I thought I had clicked on it because the picture tells you what it is, the font tells you what it is, the vibe, everything. You know exactly what you're getting. And that's why I actually clicked on this one because again, does it matter that I can't read it? No, because well, you know what you're getting, right? And so the title is sort of irrelevant here, right? It's in this genre because it's so super specifically focused genre, the titles mean nothing. I think you can pull them out of a title generator for the genre, right? And they probably do. So, yeah, I mean, they're very easy to do those, relatively speaking. Yeah, I mean, others like this. Well, first of all, I can't read it,
Yeah.
and I have no idea what it could be about. Okay, it's got something to do with Christmas, but I don't know if it's a love story, a murder mystery, what. So yeah. I mean, this I know is cheesy, gothic, horror monster stuff. Not my cup of tea, but it works for what it is. So it's kind of a good cover, but it's still ugly. Sorry. Even within that genre, I like monsters and stuff, but yeah, you still did it kind of crap. I thought. Okay.
Uh,
Unless you're done, right?
yep. I'm not a big fan
Okay.
of any of the covers on the next line.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Me neither. I mean, the spirit tree, just because I like the word spirit tree.
I agree.
Yeah,
Well,
okay,
cool colors in it and stuff, but you still don't have any idea what it's really
right,
about.
right, 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 right. I agree. I agree. That's what the point thing is. I'm trying to go to the 24. If I had said what I personally like, 3, 4. That's it. If that even. So yeah, we are very very more discerning here. Same thing. I mean, it's like nothing much doing here, right? Unless it's something for you, maybe.
The Rosen one is kind of intriguing just because I think that's like a stuffed animal holding a flower or something on a bench. It's an interesting photograph, but
Yeah,
really
I know what this is. Yeah,
doesn't tell you what the book is about.
yeah,
I'm I'm sort of negatively intrigued by the cover of Recognizing Autism in Women and Girls because
yeah, yeah. You know, now that I saw this, actually, at first my eye didn't grab that this was a mask.
yeah, that's I have
Now that I see it, it's actually a good cover.
I have no idea what that mask. I mean,
Exactly. I don't know
that's a really
either.
odd.
Yeah.
I can understand if you're trying to make a
Yeah.
correlation of like you're trying to say women with autism are like wearing a mask all the time, but that's a really strange mask choice.
Yeah. Yeah.
That
No, I don't think it works. I mean, it's an eye-catching thing, but it doesn't work for me. I agree.
that's
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
um
It's a very peculiar association. And if I don't know where you're going, you may be a weirdo with some weird theory, right?
right. Right.
And that I absolutely do not want to buy this book, spend reading 50 pages to find out that you've got some weird ass theory, and you know that. So this is a very real possibility. Yeah.
Yeah.
So no, thank you very much. Yeah.
Um, okay, out of the rest of these, I like the picture on A Journey to Love, but that yellow font is kind of awful. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
the
Yeah.
Tempting Orc cover is just interesting. I really
Yeah.
can't, like, I think that is a body picture, but you really can't make out, like,
Yeah.
what it
Yeah.
just, it's intriguing somehow. Like, that sort of ambiguity kind of
Yes.
works for it.
And the fact that they put this ox so big and tempting, the title is very powerful. The
Yes,
hell is it? You know, tempting orc. I mean, the intrigue of the title, and they've emphasized the title and left this ambiguous, which I think is fantastic.
I
So
agree.
yeah, this was a good. This was pretty good. This was pretty good.
That
Yeah,
seemed deliberate, like the ambiguity.
exactly,
But
exactly. It's
that's
well done, I thought.
that's
Yeah,
probably the only one out of the rest of those that I
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
intrigued.
So all right, I'll go vote for the cowboy one because that I meant to vote for, and you know, it didn't take my vote. So now let's see if I can unvote.
You can vote again, and then oh wait,
No, no, it won't let me unvote once I voted. I was hoping that I've got 24 votes now. You know, it will let me. Oh, oh. So now what happened? I voted for 25 covers. How did that work? Oh,
downtown.
I don't know. It's very interesting. Now, the only downside here is I can't see my cover. I'm in this as well.
Okay.
Yeah. So, well, now, just since we're doing covers, I don't know if I can get it that same size. Oh, maybe. No, yeah, here we go. Here we go. Okay, these are a little smaller than that. So if you were to take this grouping over here, this is all nonfiction, of course.
Yeah.
Any you like or dislike? Yeah,
Oh, in this line,
yeah,
hmm. I think yours is definitely the most intriguing to me.
yeah,
Just the imagery of the
yeah,
unzipping the
yeah,
eye. The
yeah.
rest of them, you can't really see. Like I can tell that that one is a puzzle, but the
Yeah.
rest of them, I can't even know what's happening on
Exactly,
those.
exactly,
The
exactly.
breaking from
And
the
this one is a
narcissist,
good cover because it's just boring. Yeah,
yeah, the breaking from the narcissist one is interesting just because it's to me, it's doing a good job of portraying a particular attitude.
yeah,
I don't know
right,
that the
right,
attitude, like, I don't
exactly.
something that would sell me on the book, but I can tell the attitude that the author is trying to convey with that cover. Um,
Yeah, yeah. You know, sometimes you hope that somebody is coming, making sense of toxic and abusive people. Well, that's what I'm looking for, right? Okay, this one is, it's the, to me, the downside here is the free. Yeah, the free is too small. You read breaking from narcissist rather than breaking free from the narcissist. So little too faded there. But okay, yes, I want to break free from the narcissist. So, when somebody has a need in this field specifically, I feel your title needs to satisfy that need. Yes. Yes, I want to make sense of toxic and abusive people. That's what I came to Amazon for in the first place, right? To understand toxic people, to figure out toxic, or to find more information on toxic or abusive people. Okay, well, yeah, I'm going to make, all right, cool. I want to break free from the narcissist in my life. Yes, absolutely. So this is a very good title, I thought. Now, again, the free is a little weak, I am personally a fan of big titles. Now, this one, because the title is longer, that's as big as I could make it, unfortunately. I would have liked to have it bigger. But yeah, sometimes you have the constraint, because I have a very long subtitle. And this is all subtitled. Even the quote, I'll show you. Let me scroll up to the top and you can see it bigger. Just by the way, since we're talking about this, it's kind of cool. The subtitle, it's all searchable, right? So this, understand to let go and find peace. It's a quote, but it's actually part of the subtitle. See?
Right.
And let go and find peace. It's actually part of the subtitle. So in the Amazon algorithm, if somebody is, searching for letting go and finding peace, this will click and connect to them. So it's very interesting how that is. You don't see it as a subtitle, but it is. So, yeah.
Right.
But all of this helps for the search algorithm, dealing with and understanding. Now it can be, somebody can type in dealing with abuse, and I'll come up, right? Dealing with bullying, I'll come up. Dealing with liars, I'll come up. Dealing with, toxic personalities and so on. So, and understanding abuse, understanding bullying, all that. So all those combinations come up. It's very helpful. It's very, very helpful. So, just the ins and outs, the peculiarities of Amazon in its own self. Very interesting. Anyway, enough sorbet, right? It is fun though. It is fun to to go into all the stuff, the details of it, and it seems like, wow, this guy's got a very long subtitle, but on the book it looks better than here. It looks too long here though, right? So, by the way, just while we're on fiddly little stuff, I was messing with this and it went all bold, and it's not meant to be all bold. Let me refresh, because I updated it, but it takes a while to show. I'm trying to get this smaller, so that it's kind of this size here, more or less, in the font, so that you see more of it before clicking read more. One of the people who researched and did this, they said they doubled their conversions simply by making this font smaller, so that you can see more before clicking see read more. So astonishing how people are kind of anti-clicking read more. So, yeah, but it's supposed to be smaller with just, only that in bold and this in bold. Well, this one is in bold and in italics. But anyway, they have to update still. It takes them a while. So, small things that make a difference. I'm just into optimizing and trying to get this to work and everything. So, yeah, just fun, to look at all the different discernments and book covers. Why I was so keen to do that is, well, it just happened to be I was there, so okay, appropriateness, but also that from a discernment point of view, book covers are very particular. I said, don't judge a book by its cover, but sorry, no, do judge a book by its cover. It's flipped. Yeah, yeah, you very much can, because of the science of book covers. It's a total science now, and there's definitely a queuing involved in the better book covers. They will tell you what's going on in the book, right? Yeah, yeah. It's still hit and miss, obviously, but still, it's more hit than miss for the most part. So it's very interesting. Yeah. Yeah, it's just good to be aware, that there's more to things that goes on. That particular site, I was a little bit disappointed that the book covers are relatively low quality, if you ask me. No, the ones we looked at. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, it's a place where you can kind of, well, you can pay for them to promote your book, but mostly I think most of them there because you sort of get to be on it for free. So one more place on the internet for free. Try and use every advantage you can. Other than that, Erica, what have you been up to? What have you been thinking? What have you been focused on?
Let's see. I'm trying to think if there's been anything different or interesting since Monday.
Oh, you backlit. That's what's happening.
Yes,
I'm like, man, how is it so dark there? But you backlit. That's why.
I'm in a spot right now.
Gotcha.
I don't know that there's been any new topics, particularly
Oh, wow.
the same. Just more of the same thing
Yeah.
around.
How do you feel that you relate to life?
How do I feel that I relate to life?
Yes. Yes. Very particular question. Not what's your relation to life. That's a different question. How do you relate to life? All the subtleties, nuance of the grammar here is pertinent and relevant and particular.
Is there a way to not relate to life? I don't know.
Well, I mean, if you were to ask Sher this right now, she might have a very different answer. Yeah, I mean, she was feeling like I'm not a victim. She was trying very not to feel like a victim, but she was a bit pressed, and she was miserable, very unhappy and miserable, right? At this is an unhappy situation. So right now, how she relates to life isn't necessarily on the most happy and joyous and positive terms. That's what I mean, right?
Right.
In that context, you're right. You can't not relate to life. Yes, you're right. Yeah, in that context, yes, yes,
Trying to
yes.
make it less vague. I do very poorly with vague questions because my mind goes in.
Okay, okay. Oh, okay. All right. Oh, I see. All right. So let me see if I can make it a bit more specific then.
Well, I mean, from the context of share and what she is doing, if I'm answering in a similar way to that, same thing that we've been talking about, I think, with karma yoga and all of that, of sort of, I mean, right now, the way I'm relating to life is by taking each moment to moment experience and trying to experience that as a way or a path to deeper understanding, to moreness, to um, service, whatever. I mean, at the moment, that's kind of been my focus of relating to.
So you would say you relate to life profoundly.
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, I think Sher would say right now it's kind of survivally.
Right. Right.
But you're relating to life in a very profound way, because you're relating to life is one which is a connectivity, which is a doorway to moreness, right?
Right. Right.
Yeah, that's a very, very wonderful thing. It's a very wonderful thing. Yeah. Erica Oasis, absolutely. Yeah. It's true. It's true. You really are. You're a magical oasis. You really are. Just a breath of glory. All right. So, yeah, I must get poetic, right? Where am I? Where am I? Oh, I've tried to click on the window to find the one that's there, but every time I click, I find something else. Wow, that was a good window. All right. So well, the I don't know if I'm screen sharing or not. Am I? No. What am I looking for? Oh, I'm looking for where we were, the slides. That's what I'm thinking. All right. There we go. And now I can screen share. Well, I could have earlier, I suppose. But... All right. Wonderful. 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 I do have something to share with you, but I just thought, I want to just read on a little bit more here. Is this where we were last time?
I I didn't write anything down, so I'm not sure.
More or less, right. Anyway, another key point of this workshop is to understand that when we perspective shift, doing so to only one other perspective is not enough. As we saw when we shifted to our alternate 10 commandment lists, a substantial improvement over the original, and we could have rested there. At that point, we felt we had done good, and we had actually shifted to a significantly better and good new perspective. But as we then discovered when moving to the plus 10 commandments, what we had shifted to was not the only shift to be had, there was more. We rested after making that one shift, never considering that if there could be one, there could be more. The challenge with perspective shifting is to shift to many different perspectives, to challenge all aspects of what we're examining and looking to improve or understand, right? I mean, I think this is a point that's long since been uh, uh, malleated into our lives, right? And I make that word, yes, I can, to malleate, yes, to shape and form. Yeah, yeah, perfectly valid. Will you read, please, Erica? Will you read, please?
What we say we do, what we think we do, and no, wait, what we say we do, what we think we do, what we say and think we should and shouldn't do, and what we actually do are all very different, sadly. But once we start to think freely and perspective shift regularly, those come into alignment. And also, we get into the habit of not assuming and not taking matters so for granted and not just accepting whatever without perspective shifting to multiple views to check it out.
Perfect. That whatever was very appropriately enunciated. That's very good.
The ability we've learned and practiced thus makes us smarter and connects us to that more and superlatives of feeling we mentioned earlier, and which we will be going into in detail in the second part of the workshop.
Wow. Wow.
Just a reminder, writing down your thoughts and perspectives as they come is useful for emphasis and for later reference and comparisons. It's so easy to forget how we used to think, but it's useful to look back at to learn from.
Yes, very useful. Very useful. So, okay. Well, I don't know where this is going, but we'll find out. All right. Exercise 3B. Self-discovery is useless if it doesn't lead to. We often know, but don't apply that knowing as a doing, which leads to actual difference and self-change. A powerful and significant part of self-discovery is being fully aware of why and what exactly stands in the way of doing and applying that which we know needs doing. Some suggestions to prompt. What prevents you from undertaking life change? Well, nothing. Right, Erica? I'm answering for both of us. What causes inaction when it comes to self-change? Same thing, nothing. We'll overcome those, yes? And why is there peculiar spacing here? What's going on? What's going on? Right. There we go. Well, still, see, some of them have lines and some have shift enters, but all right, never mind. Some hints at possible reasons. Overwhelm, the awful truth, no program, no structure, knowing what all to do, no help, assistance, or aid, no real pressure or leverage. All of which does not apply to marvelous, fabulous Erica Jayne, right? But these are very useful to be aware of, right? How, well, overwhelm, we obviously know, but how the awful truth. And here's the issue for CJ. He's got a lot of anger, right? And Show was feeling bad that, he's so angry with me and this really hurt her. I said, no, 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 no. It is merely something to seize on. It's a focus. He's not even angry at life. Well, kind of, but it's not angry at any one thing specifically. He's angry at the awful truth existing. That's it. He's come aware that there's awful truths in the world and they exist, and he's angry because there's nothing he can do about it. he realizes they are a fact and he doesn't want it to be so. He's trying to deny the reality of awful truth. Yes. So this is the whole crux of the spiral right there. Very profound. So awful truth can really screw people up. Same thing, no program, no structure, knowing what all to do. And you saw this with Miles. I mean, it tried to have program and structure, but it fell apart because it wasn't really there, right? And again, I don't want to, I'm not trying to be disparaging, really not. Things have value, but, we have to be real as well. So I'm using it for purpose of discernment, not looking to criticize, right? There was a lot of value there, right? Correct? Yeah, a lot of value there. Value comes in many different ways. And not knowing what all to do is a big deal. No help, assistance, aid, right? These are really things that really press on people in a big way. And it's really cool. All right. So again, right, I feel very much has come to long since has come to know how to deal with these. Yes. Right?
I mean, I don't think that means that I don't struggle with them anymore. I mean,
Correct. Right.
different things are things that are still a factor for me. But yeah, I mean, I feel like listen.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to qualify that and say that you have understood how to deal with these, or at least approach them, tackle them, get started on them. They don't thwart you. That's the point that I am looking to make, right? You aren't thwarted by these, which is a very different thing to say that, yeah, of course I struggle with it. Oh, yeah, but you're not thwarted. And that's a very big difference, right? What prevents you from undertaking, what causes inaction. See, I don't feel you in a situation where you're either prevented or inacted. Yes?
Not permanently, anyway.
Correct. Right. That's why I said inacted. Sorry, I didn't enunciate that clearly enough to make my creative word usage apparent there, right? Because when you are inacted, that you kind of stopped, right? You're not going anywhere. To have temporary inaction, that's not quite the same thing, right?
Right.
Yeah, this is a very, very big deal. So yeah, I don't feel you in that situation. When you are in a situation where it seems like you're not doing, you're looking for a way. You're finding, you're thinking about it. You considering the options. You're perspective shifting. You're doing stuff, right? You're not stopped. Yes.
Right.
Yeah. See, that's what I mean. So you may be not progressing on resolution, but that doesn't mean you are stopped. No, you're doing lots of stuff. Yeah. So I feel that even should you get to that point, you have tools to fall back on that you can readily dig out as you need. Yes.
Yep.
Now, the issue is practice and habit, and having them at ready command and have fluidity of use. It's one thing to have a toolbox full of tools. It's another thing to have had the opportunity to use and practice and become skilled with those tools. That's what we're busy doing now. Yes.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, occasionally we will add new tools to the workshop, but for the most part, right? So, all right. So this is a little bit of disingenuity in a sort of a way, not really, but this is not really for you. Because keep in mind, I'm doing this workshop, for like Sue and her friends, and I quickly came to see they need more, right? So, and well, I have something more, and I had something more kind of from the beginning, but how do I bring this up in the context of the workshop, right? So I was a bit stuck because, my ethics don't want to say, well, you know what, you enjoyed the workshop, I've got this program, you want to do this and all this, like now you kind of, it's a bit lame in terms of just that blatant advertising, yeah? So I thought, well, let me get creative a little bit. And so I put this in here, which is to now, when you're looking at it down the road, what is the cost of non-action and doing nothing, right? Regrets, missing out, some. This is a big deal. And this really touched a lot of people. Now, the only one that came from those workshops that did something was Sue. But nonetheless, right, I could see how for many of the other people, that they certainly, this list and all of these things here impacted them, that whether it was with me or with somebody else, it pressed them to do something, right? So beside the perspective shifting, I could clearly see the people were there because they clearly, every single one was in need and in want of something more. So I thought, let me put this in. Yes, hopefully they come and do something with me. But again, I only want people to come and do stuff with me if it's right. Not, that's I'm very particular with that. So this is definitely public service. Also, I think this is a very big point. That our cost is, what is the cost of non-action and doing nothing? Regrets, missing out, same old, living our personal suck list. That line, oh my God, this touched people. Regrets, not so much. Missing out, not so much. Same old, yeah. Living, oh my God, yes. Oh my God, yes. That was the perpetual thing from this. So I'm just sharing a bit of feedback here because it's interesting, right? And then this too, our cost is a lack of adventure, magic, the ineffable, grace, the more. And different things would touch people here, right? Impeccability, I had a bit of more resonance and pride of being, add your own. That we don't think what we miss out on when we persist without changing, right? And I would say that I would imagine, I would hope, and I feel a very high probability that decidedly, your life has taken on more moreness than there would have been otherwise, likely. Yes?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, just this is a profound thing. All right. So we're going to start by sharing a deeper and more detailed look into where we're at and how we can even further add to what we've done. Exercise 4. Is there more? Is there more, Erica?
Always.
Yes. I have to ask the rhetoric question. You know how that started by or there is always more, and then later it became that refrain from the group, because Biella would go through a long, detailed explanation. She'd be explaining stuff, and in her her immersion, she would pause and catch her breath and say, "There's more." Well, she would finish the point, and then as she, where she's at, and then oh, there's more, because they think, oh, she's done. No, 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 there's more. And then after a while, they sort of, well, with Biella, there's always more. So they started to tease her, and they had a little fight. There's always more. Make a little fun thing. That's because of their humor. But
Like
that's how it started, by the way. But yeah, there's definitely always more. Um, all right, so here we are going to look at exactly how we structured or formatted our own list of plus 10 commandments. We've zoomed out to perspective shift. Now we're going to zoom in. Specifically, is how our list written the best for leveraging us to use our commandments. Let's consider the first few and how they're written or presented. Thou shalt be appropriate. Appropriate, not same as proper. Thou shalt be joyful. Thou shalt be kind and generous. All right. So let's look at these. Yeah. Thou shalt is a commandment from outside. We might see it as coming from ourselves or from our deeper or higher self or something else. There's no right or wrong here. We're perspective shifting to not assume. So maybe we want to say, I shalt be appropriate. Perhaps we feel shalt is too archaic and doesn't resonate. So we might want to say, I will be joyful, or I am kind and generous, and so on. How we structure our perspectives is a matter of personal resonance. It has to feel true. Now, I have to emphasize feel here. It has to feel true and right to us. It's and us needs to be again emphasized to us, not to anyone else. It's important, that feeling of true and honest and accurate. So here we are now actually getting, I forgot about this. I knew it more or less, but I'd sort of forgotten the details of it. We are actually getting into the nuance of affirmation and why affirmation don't work and
right.
what we can do to make them work. So this is actually very cool. So, wow, okay, I'm excited because I don't remember what's coming here. I'm surprising myself now. That's cool. All right, it's a wonderful thing to set one's brain to only remember what's important.
Yes.
A la Sherlock Holmes. Very helpful.
Yep.
Very helpful. Very exciting. Because you get to, get to redo stuff like this. I remember the abstract conceptuality, but the details, I'm not interested. And I don't want to remember because I discover it again. It's fantastic. My madness. Anyway, perspective shifting is greatly helped when we look at implications. If we say, I will be joyful, that somewhat implies we're not so now.
Mm.
Wow.
That's true.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Very big deal. And if we say, I am joyful, that again we know is not always true. So we can't really say it. We don't have that deep, comfortable inner resonance. I cannot see where this is going in the sentence. I don't remember the wording, which is fascinating to me. I'm like keen to say, but how are you going to resolve this, Sil? It seems like a conundrum to me that there's no way out right now, yes?
Yeah.
Like I boxed myself. Like, where are you going, dude? Where are you going? You look like you were in a canyon here. All right. We need an expression which will say we're doing so now as much as possible and appropriate, as much as possible and appropriate. And we will also do so in the future as much as we can. Dang, man, that's a tall order, huh?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, wow, wow. It's very weird seeing you all dark, by the way. I gotta say, it's very weird. It's okay. It's just kind of fun. It's like ghosty, Erica. Yeah. We can do this by saying, I will always be joyful. I will always be appropriate, courteous, etc. So it's will always be implies we'll try and we're doing so now. And we'll make effort to be more so because the word will is connected to intent. And certainly we have the intent to be our list. Yes?
Yeah.
Does this make sense as a resolution? Right? Instead of saying what was the other two, the examples, to say, it says, I will be joyful. I don't know what I will always be joyful. It's the always that makes a difference. Right. Yeah, yeah. So the will always be, it always makes a difference. Yeah, I will always be joyful. I will always be appropriate, courteous. Yeah. Plus, always be has that backward implication that we have been so to some extent. Yes, this works really well for our personal list of commandments because now we've shifted them considerably from commandments to intents and also as affirmations of who we actually are. We've also set them as ongoing aspirations, not aspirations for some time in the future, but aspirations which are ongoing and continuous. With this change in perspective shift, we get all four: commandment, intent, affirmation, and ongoing aspiration, as well as, of course, application. Yeah. So it's a very simple shift here to say, I will be joyful, to say, I will always be joyful, right? To say, I will be joyful. For me, the nuance is huge. The implication, if I say I will be joyful, that I'm somehow deciding now what's going to happen in the future, that I'm preempting. But if I say I will always be joyful, that always shifts it into an intent, at least for me. I don't know how much this resonates with you. I'm keen to hear.
It's interesting because so on the last slide, I think you made a point of something like saying I am joyful
Yeah, yeah.
necessarily true because I'm not always or something like that. Yeah,
Correct.
not
Right.
all.
And if we say I am joyful, that again we know is not always true. So
For
we
me,
can't really say. Yeah.
the shift of the new verbiage really retains that untruth that I will always be joyful in my mind is an untruth because
Yeah.
I know
Yeah.
I'm not always going to be joyful. So I think for me,
Yeah. Yeah.
the addition of like, I mean, it says that
Yeah.
next
Yeah.
statement is something like, I will always be appropriately joyful, or um,
Yes.
I
Yeah.
I will be joyful as appropriate, or something like that. Kind of
Yeah. 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 I think I go further with this because you're right. This doesn't satisfy for everybody. For me personally, if I say I will always be, to me, it's not a statement of fact, but a statement of aspiration, a
Right.
statement of intent. But that's me personally.
Right.
Technically, the language is just as much to say I will be joyful as I will always be joyful. It's even worse,
Well,
but it has a peculiar nuance for me. Yeah,
and I think that's an interesting point. A
yeah,
large point that I know you're making in this whole thing is that blanket statement commandments are not personal enough
exactly,
to resonate with each.
exactly,
Kind of each have to have
exactly,
verbiage,
exactly.
intents, and meanings.
Exactly. Exactly. So I'm giving this for me. I should more make this. We can do this by saying, all right. Well, it happens to be that this works for me, and it did for some others too. But for me, it shifted it now into this. But let's see where I go with this because I do think that I do address, or at least I hope address your concern here. We can further add a modifier like as appropriate. Exactly. And this is very important, right? So this is implied when I say I will always be joyful. For me personally, that as appropriate is absolutely always appropriate, applied, right? So, no, I'm saying here, I will always be appropriate or I will always be courteous as appropriate. Now, you can't say it with appropriate, of course, because that's appropriate. But yeah, the as appropriate is already way back when I made the first commandments. That as appropriate was there as a qualifier on all of them, as a conditioner modifier. Yeah. So this is very key. So this is exactly what Erica Jayne says. So for Erica Jayne, this is yes, I will always be. Or and I think this may come later. I don't remember, but to say I will always try to be. I will always aspire to be. I will always intend to be joyful as appropriate. Right. So then you start to get those modifiers. It just happens to be that the phraseology of I will always be implies that for me very strongly. And I don't know why, because I don't know, it's not particularly grammatically correct, but it does.
Yeah.
In a suggested list, this is automatic as the first intent is to always be appropriate. But how we connect that applying and stating our plus 10 list is personal. And the objective here is to find that individual expression which fits. So I also didn't worry too much that this isn't going to resonate with anybody. I
Right.
don't really want it to. This is my resonance. You got to find your own resonance, right? And this is very, very critical. And I hope I emphasize why. Since our overview perspective of the workshop is perspective shifting, yeah, if we look at what we've just done, we see we've been perspective shifting to find inner resonance. Very important. What's important is to realize getting to that resonance is not always a matter of logic or rationality. This explains it from before. It's about how it connects to us personally deep inside. This particular perspective shift is critical. Finding and connecting to inner resonance is most important. So what I am getting at here, which I hopefully will elucidate further, but since it's coming bubbling out of me now, I'll just share it. If we are going to make any kind of a list of aspirations, commandments, intents, and what was the fourth one? Um, Affirmations, right? Or applications. Uh, if we're going to do this, if you do not use language that has in the resonance, you're wasting your time.
Right.
I've seen this over and over and over again. When the things don't resonate, people drop them and they just dissipate and fall by the wayside. But when they do have that inner resonance, man, they use it over and over and over again. It's their go-to because it has that resonance. So to find that precise, nuanced, fiddly language is critical. Right. And again, yeah, a lot of people may be put off because they don't have a natural predisposition and liking for fiddliness the way we do. And no, it is worth it. right? So I would use the environment of the workshop because, well, if you're not going to do this on your own accord, in a situation like that, the circumstance pressure would kind of motivate you to do it a little bit. And so I would help them to kind of press on this point somewhat to get them to be a bit anal about things, right? As they might think of it. We think of it as being sensible, of course, right? Super sensible and wonderful and genius, right? Right. Now adjust your +10 to language or format or style which resonates with you personally. So, okay, I will always be appropriate, always be joyful, etc. All right. So we don't have to go through all of these, right? But there's more, and important more. One more critical shift which brings it all together. Looking at this personalized list, we see value or importance to someone. And when we look at our own list, we aim to see worth as we use value to facilitate our shifting. The workshop is all about perspective change to get us to these extra benefits. So let's ask ourselves once again, in what way can I further shift to get more? Always want to ask that until we don't get an answer, right? That connection and looking at that more, at the more, to capital M more is huge when it comes to perspective shifting. I did not remember that I had capital M more written here. I'm very pleased to see that. Yeah, interesting. All right. So, yes, we say there's value in my list, but what about application? What about usefulness? How do I make my list actually work for me? Here we'll add a commandment 0.
Okay.
Thou shalt always feel thine commandments, for to be is to feel. Or I will always feel my commandments, because to be is to feel, and to feel is to be. Yes?
I like it.
Yes. This is a profound shift now. It's like, holy shit, we had all these commandments and aspirations and intents and affirmations, but so far it was all up here, right? All
Right.
up here. All up here. Now we've said, oh, that's why the resonance is so key, because then you feel it, and now you have this connectivity, right? Because to be is to feel. Take away feeling, what's the point of being?
Mm-hmm. True.
Yeah, yeah. So if you're not feeling, you aren't being. If you're not being, you're not being. Okay. This is our human condition. This is the big deal, right? I mean, machines may be able to feel, we don't know, but you would think that not necessarily. Yes. Anyway, possible, I suppose. When we feel something, it's real to us. We connect to the truth of it as we know it. Now, of course, this gets complicated in feeling and believing, right? We went through feeling and believing, yeah,
Yeah.
to some degree. Okay. That's why adjusting the language is vitally important. It's so we can connect and feel our list, thereby making it real in our lives. Here we have a profound perspective change. The shift from thinking and understanding to using, making what we've learned real and useful. This is done through that perspective shift to feeling. Now, I am very gratified. In my mind, in my memory, I sort of thought, well, you get to the +10, and after that, it's like, yeah, it can be cool, but I didn't think it was really vital and necessary and important. But now that I see it, it's very much so. So I'm very gratified that this isn't like this bonus stuff that's sort of tacked on the end. No, this is very necessary, right? It's absolutely very, very necessary. All right, this is so huge. We learn so much, but actually end up using so little because we think we know when we realize or understand. But if it's not translated and shifted into feeling what we know, that knowing doesn't mean much at all. Yes, right,
True.
Erica?
Agree.
Yeah. Now, I mean, this is a huge point, right? I mean, to me, this is even a bigger point than the previous points when we came to the commandments and the updates, right? We now really get into like super profound stuff, yes, that enables us to truly relate to life, yes.
Right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, you read, please. You read.
From our perspective shifting overview, what have is this a question? Okay. I thought it was a statement. And I was like, wait a minute, this doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Perspective, what have we been doing with each update, addition, and major perspective shift? we've connected to more. And also,
Yeah.
we kept going to that endpoint of result, which actually works and is useful, which gives us real value.
Yeah.
Keep those objectives in mind, the objective of application of what actually works. We have a powerful tool for helping us perspective shift. Yes? The key point
Yes.
here is that when we feel what we've shifted to, when we make it into something we can feel and adopt that new point of understanding or knowing as something we connect with so much that we feel it, then we have that which will actually works and will actually be
Yeah.
useful.
Yeah. 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 Or we have that which actually works and will actually be useful. That which I must take out the will rather, right, instead of the correcting.
Yeah, either way.
Yeah, I just think it's more potent with that. Yes, the works, that which actually works, that which will actually work. I don't know. It's harder to emphasize,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. So, for me, I think if I were to say my ideal, like the takeaway from a participant, and I say, okay, they're going to miss most of what, and it's going to go in one ear and out the other ear. But then they get home and, their family, well, okay, what did you do in Sedona? Well, we did this Airbnb experience. We did this workshop. Oh, what did you get for? Well, you know what? This guy, he like shared a thing and we like, so I had we like looked at things and then he shared something new and it's like, whoa, I never thought of that. He like kept blowing my mind, right?
Mhm.
But that's the thing. See, so okay, and they say, well, what happened? Well, all right, he shared about the Ten Commandments and he explains a bit. But you know what? I mean, hang on. That's not the issue. It wasn't about the new things. It's that he blew my mind once and then he kept on doing it. And then he kept on doing it again and again. That's what I learned from that workshop. That you can't just get stopped once your mind has been blown. You got to keep going because there can be more. And before I would just stop and like, wow, and I never even thought to look further.
Right.
That's what I'm hoping somebody would go and say to friends and family, right? That like every time there was more. And then there was more after that. And he just kept on going. And man, this really blew my mind. That it was already blown once, but that they could and just kept on going, kept on going. And that's what I hope really to take away as the core from this. That
Yeah,
don't stop, keep going. Yes, right, Erica Jayne?
I like it.
I mean, the profound details I can go look up. Man, there were lots of profound details, nuances of resonance and stuff. Okay, I don't even remember what all. I have to go back to my notes. But the key overall, perspective shifting, the power of perspective shifting, why he gets so excited about it because of that. Right?
Yeah.
That's what's more. Right. Keep going, keep going, keep going. So the perspective shift to feel is massive, critical, and phenomenally impactful, changing everything because we know how to feel. That's a very profound statement there. So good job. Very good job.
Well,
Because we know how to feel. Yes. Yes. This is surprising to me too now. It's new, right? But yeah, it's new but obvious. But I love this. I love when the obvious comes as new. It's the one thing we indisputably know we can do. Even if we don't always feel the way we want to, we still know we did feel, have felt, and can feel. Feel is something we know, we can connect to, and know we can use. Yes? We might not be very adept at it, but nonetheless, we still know we can. Right? Will you read, please? Wow, I didn't know I had so much content here.
we might say we want to be joyful, for instance, and
Mm,
that it's good to be so, and set the intent, or even command ourselves. But some part of us says, yes, I see the value and goodness of it, but what exactly does it mean to be joyful? When we start to think of it like that, the whole thing becomes complicated and disconnected because we're trying to think about a feeling. And well, in the end, we can really only feel a feeling for it to fully make sense. When we think about feeling like joyful and realize there's much we don't know and believe we don't, then we lose that applicability, that realness of doing. But if we make that perspective shift to feel, And we now say, wait, I know how to feel joyful, even if only more or less. I felt that before, or feelings along that line. So it's just feeling it more or slightly differently, doing that feeling more regularly, more deliberately, more consciously. I can do that. I can do that because I know how.
And now we can get excited. Now we've got the mechanism to connect it all together, right? It's like, oh, I can do this. I can do this. Similarly, with other intents we might set, like, say, the intent to always be appropriate. Knowing what's appropriate isn't always that obvious, but if we make that shift to feeling, if we feel appropriate, wow, now suddenly it all makes sense. We know from our feeling of appropriate when we aren't and when we are. It's an inner feeling of rightness or harmony and things being in balance for you. It's a feeling we're doing what's good and sensible, and there are no objections from ourselves. We know appropriateness more than we realize or think we do when we feel appropriateness.
I like it.
Any comments on this?
Um, I think I like the part about we know from our feeling of appropriate when we aren't and when we are. I think
Yes,
that's a
yes,
key, that appropriateness. I feel like that's a key thing for me with appropriateness.
yes.
It is really a feeling. I mean, appropriateness. I think. I mean, obviously, it's extremely contextual, and
Correct,
it
correct.
that can be one of those things that I think for someone who is inclined toward overthinking like I am, you can start to spin yourself out on, well, but how do I know, how do I know it's appropriate?
Yes, 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 yes,
If
yes,
you say, look,
yes,
you will know what's
yeah,
appropriate by
correct,
feeling, like it's a feeling and you will
correct,
know, feel it.
correct,
That
correct,
helps a
correct,
lot of that spinning into overthinking
correct,
away.
correct. And for you and I particularly, our challenge is to learn to trust our feelings.
Right.
For
Right.
most, it
Yes.
is they need to learn to discern their feelings and not trust them.
Right.
Yeah. So we are hyper cautious with trusting our feelings because we are fully aware of the feeling belief loop, how our feelings can completely betray us. But this is why I added in conscience here, which
Yeah.
is a different thing, right? The feeling of appropriate is conscience. That's a very different thing to our typical feelings.
Yeah.
Yes. It's a particular feeling. So I did not put this in here before, and I didn't use the word conscience either, but I need to emphasize conscience is a very particular instance of feeling. It's not the usual emotional feeling. It's a very different kind of a feeling. Me personally, I have always trusted that feeling 100% implicitly. Always.
Yeah.
If I felt like I'm going over that line, I've never ever done it in my life, not even once.
Great.
You as well, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. So now, when I say we know our feeling of appropriate, actually, I'm even going to take it out of brackets here. Yeah, conscience, in other words. Yeah, I think this must be. Yeah,
Yeah.
and this needs to be. Yeah. Now it changes because it's a special instance of feeling. Yes. So when we're talking about feeling appropriateness, IOW, in other words.
Oh, okay. Should there be another comma after feeling of appropriate?
Well, I'll see now. Other words. I was being lazy, but your squat made me feel bad.
Like what?
We know from our feeling of appropriate, comma, our
Yeah.
conscience, in other words, when we aren't. Yeah. And when we are. Yeah. Yeah. It needed the extra one. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. And this now changes the whole dynamic, right? I was connecting it to feeling in a more general way because people do know this. But now this feeling of appropriate, it's conscience, which is a different feeling, right? It's a particular feeling. Yes. So it's an inner feeling of rightness or harmony and things being in balance for you. And this is the feeling of conscience, not feelings in general, right? It's the feeling of appropriate, which is really the feeling of conscience. I was a little bit, shy to put that in, but I'm not anymore. So, yeah. I had no idea how much I can push things again, and it's appropriate caution. But now I really know I can go all the way, and it's not a problem. Right? All those cautious to this, and this point of us trusting our conscience, boy, it is something truly precious. Yeah, I've seen people who have transgressed, and man, the price they pay for it is incredible.
Yeah.
Uh, it's man, it's unreal. It's unreal how that works. I will say one other thing in this, just a little bit going on a tangent or an aside, corollary, if I could say. Oh, I said it right. Well done. Is that likewise to never cross that line of your conscience when you get gifts from the universe? Never ever piss on them.
Mm.
No other way to say it, right? Sorry, it's a bit crude, but this is the point. I see likewise people do that to gifts, and oh my goodness, do they regret it and do they pay? Yes, the universe is not amused in the least when you do that. Now, it's astonishing, right? It's not quite the same as crossing your conscience. That's just not good. But when you do that, you kind of get away with it. But man, no, don't do it. Don't do it. You can, but don't. No. All right, please read. Please read, Erica. I'm enjoying this. This is really cool. Wow.
Making the shift from knowing, from all our understandings, and adding feel to the mix makes all the difference. We still need the mental because that makes us aware and aware of what is appropriate to feel. But even more than that, through perspective shifting and awareness, we come to know of more, and thus that there is more we can feel. That's most awesome.
Yes.
Now we can take our existing abilities to feel and extend them, adapt our feelings, connect them, link them, tweak our feelings, feel a bit more, feel a bit less, and thus adjust the feelings we already know, expanding them into that magic of the more our perspective shifting has connected us to and made us aware of. When the body realizes there's more it can feel, when it comes to know those superlatives of feeling and perceiving are available, it's most excited as this is real to the body. It knows without a shadow of a doubt this way of knowing and way of doing is utterly doable. A profound shift of perspective and belief of actuality making all the difference.
Yes. And a belief of actuality making all the difference. Yes, because we know it already. So, yes, it's a belief, but it's a belief of actuality. It's one of those counterbalancing conundrums. Very cool. Very cool. Very cool. When we extend our comprehension to include feel, we connect the dots of learning and doing. We especially enable the actual application of our personal intents of being, those we so earnestly wish to implement, but struggle to if we don't make this connection and perspective shift to include feel in our tools of being. In order to apply our intents and resolutions, our commandments and aspirations, we absolutely also have to feel them. Now, just to be sure what I'm doing here in a subtle way, this is a primer, a mini course on intent, on setting an intent. Yes. So now we've shifted. Yes, I brought it in, but intent is quite a magical thing for many people, and it's like kind of in the field of woo-woo in a sense, right? But now when we're doing this, though, I'm very subtly, yes, I even brought the word in there, but I'm still on commandments here. So I'm bringing this conceptuality into essentially, the environment where it's not necessarily so easily accepted, right? So, but this is very key when it comes to intents, and it's something that I struggle with my intents, is to feel them.
Right.
I have to work very hard on that because it's hard to say why the because is. I see all the logic and the sense of it, but that doesn't mean I can get myself to feel the need for it. And when I intend something that I want, for instance, it doesn't matter how much I justify it. There's a part of me that doesn't feel like I have to. And because I don't feel like I have to, I don't feel it. So it feels like it's extra, it's bonus, therefore egregious, wasteful, etc. It's a very peculiar conundrum and something that I work on a regular basis to learn to do and struggle with. Make sense, the struggle?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I feel it may have some resonance for you too, right? All right, so now let's have a look at how this updated perspective shift to feeling our list looks like when applied. At least how it applies to my particular variation, right? Updated, useful, personal, possible, plus 10 commandments, intense affirmations and aspirations. All right, we get the full title there. I will always feel my commandments, because to be is to feel and to feel is to be. That's commandment 0. I will always feel appropriate as suitable for the particular context. I will always feel joyful as appropriate. I will always feel kind and generous as appropriate. Right? I will always feel. So again, I could say, I will always try to, I will always intend to, right? I mean, you can add those in as appropriate. For me, when I say I will always, it means that. Yeah. So it means intend, means try, means make every effort, means be impeccable in my efforts to do so, right? So does this make sense somewhat, right?
Yes.
Well, what's number 11 here? I will always make the effort to perspective shift until I can feel value and usefulness, until I connect my inner resources, my inner resonance of rightness, and have come to resolution. Oh, that's a very cool 11th commandment. You got to have an 11th commandment, right?
I like it.
Yeah. Well, I will always feel my commandments. I will always find, see, and feel subtle guidance for myself in each. Oh, okay. It's the old one still from way back when, just adjust. So yeah, very cool. Very cool. All right. Now adjust the language on your personalized list to feel. Yes, it's a bit messy, but saves rewriting the list. But feel free to rewrite if you like. It's powerful to do so from an emphasis perspective, which actually is fundamental to training the brain. Keep in mind now they have the clipboard with the sheets on it, and they've written those 10 out, and now they've got to add a little carrot field, in there. Okay, so for some they don't like the mess, others didn't care. Right? Now it's very interesting how that worked. Okay, how does your personal plus 10 list connect to you now? Now, before we go to this exercise, I am keen for Erica Jayne to pull out her list that she made.
We didn't make one. We just went through it together.
You made one long ago, not as a plus 10 commandments, but you made a 10 list somewhere, or more or less 10. Remember?
No, I don't. A list of commandments?
No. I'm saying it wasn't commandments. It was just a list of 10. I don't remember what you called it exactly, but it was a list of 10 more or less, like a top 10, or 10 things I've taken away from the most powerful things from Way of Impeccability, something like that. Remember? You made a list?
Fractal conceptions list?
There you go. That was it. So can we please pull that up? Because this is I was thinking of this when we started before you came on. I was thinking that, yes, we haven't done the 10 commandments list because it's kind of lame, because, well, really, the list that we've been making is our dictionary of power. But you took your dictionary of power and you pulled out particular ones, correct? You fine-tuned it, yes?
I don't know that I don't think I got them from the Dictionary of Power.
Okay. Well, wherever they came from, they were still a condensation or a focus of the allness of you. Yes.
Uh, yeah.
Sort of.
I mean, yeah. It was fractal conceptions that I was taking away from Wave Impeccability related
Oh, I
stuff.
see. Okay. But I think this would be a good a good list to at least, use as a list. Yeah.
Yeah, we can certainly try it for sure.
Yeah, I'm just keen to hear it anyway, because every time I've heard it, I was like, man, this is really cool, and it was a very powerful list, and it impacted me. I really enjoyed that list every single time. So I definitely feel as a list of intents. Certainly not commandments. Commandments, I don't know. I can't really get with this word commandment. It doesn't work for me, but some people like it. Affirmations, same way. I don't care for affirmations at all. Aspirations, yes. And I will share with you something on aspirations. Remind me. It's sitting here on the computer ready to go. Where is it now? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay, we'll come back to that. Little happy chappy. All right, so please share when ready.
Okay, this got kind of messy at the end, if I remember. So I think my numbers got off, and I don't know that I
No
actually.
worries. No worries. No worries. No worries. Yeah.
At least, or...
Yeah. I mean, I know we're doing quite a big jump here, and it's maybe a little messy and not necessary, but we'll see. Just it's a list. That's it. It's very rough and very vague, and well, it's a list. Okay, there we go. We're taking a chance.
Um, okay, the first one is I am a good person.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. That's very profound. I mean, sorry, right there. As the way it's written, it's not written, I shall be a good person. So in this case, I will always be. No, this is both this affirmation, but not an affirmation to say, well, no, this is confirmation of fact, which is a very different thing. Yes.
Mhm.
So the way it's written, the resonance of the wording is absolutely 100% appropriate. Yes.
Yeah,
It cannot be written any other way.
true.
All right. So, I mean, that's where we at now. That's why I wanted the list, so we can focus on the particular wording to look at it from a resonance, appropriateness, feel point of view, right? So, I am a good person. Yes. And there's not that emphasis. Why? Because when I say I am a good person, when I need to emphasize it, this implies that it doesn't quite exactly resonate. And yes, I want to believe it. I like the idea. I feel it, but not 100%, right? So the fact that there was no emphasis this is simply a statement of fact. End of story. Yes. And therein lies its profoundness, right, Erika J? Yeah, yeah, yeah. So that to me, that it's like, wow, I don't even need to go any further. Just that one simple line is unbelievably profound, no?
True.
For Erika Jayne.
Yeah.
Others will not read it the same. Yes, I know many who are going to have that emphasis in there and so on, and other nuances. Yeah. But for you, this is totally cool. Wonderful. Wonderful.
True. Absolutely. Okay, the second one is choice creates reality.
Choice creates reality. Again, it's written as a statement of awareness. And again, I understand, right? Well, I'm remembering now that your heading was fractal conceptions, right? And you are writing them with this understanding. You want this to be, and you like it, it is for you a fractal conception. And that changes how it's written very profoundly, right? The clarity of intent here is very, very key. So again, please, number 2.
Choice creates reality.
Choice creates reality. I mean, this is, again, see now in that list there, we had commandments, aspirations, intents, and affirmations. But now we need to add in awarenesses,
Okay.
right? So far, you've shared 2 profound awarenesses. That's what they are to me. Yes, they're a fractal conception. But a fractal conception is simply an awareness that's very condensed and very tight that can explode into more. But any awareness can do that, right? So, but I would categorize these as awarenesses in that, commandments, aspirations. These are awarenesses, right? That, yes, I aspire to get to some things, but I aspire to be aware of things like this. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And you have succeeded in that. So this is a confirmation. It's a reminder of these awarenesses which are already in you. Yes. So they aren't to elucidate you and educate you. No. These are simply recognition of what's already in you. They're not even there necessarily to remind you. Right? The act of making it built them into you. Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, these are part of you. There's no way you can extract this. It's like, I don't have to remember this stuff. This is in me. Yes.
Absolutely.
Choice creates reality. This is an okay. Another word you could say here. These are awarenesses and understandings. Yes. And
Yeah,
also discernments. So they're ADUs.
for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Very cool. Wow. I'm loving this. All right. Please. Next one.
Okay, the third one has a bunch of stuff connected to it, but the first statement I had was trust is a choice.
Yes. Yeah. That's the heart. That's the core of it. Yeah. Trust is a choice. Yes. This is, again, it's an awareness and a discernment and an understanding. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
It's a fractal conception because, man, you start watering that a little bit and it leads everywhere. And man, yeah. So it's consequential and implicative. Very powerful. So absolutely, the fractal conceptuality of that is huge. That is massive, massive. Trust is a choice. Yes. 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 I'm listening to it, not just a yes from my own resonance, but my yes is in the resonance to Erica Jayne, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm looking at like girders or, core lines that run through Erica Jayne, I would say, yeah, you see, there we go. Trust is a choice. Yeah. And here we go. I am a good person and so on. Right. See what I mean? These are integral. These are your foundations, your girders. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Okay, the next one is kind of all over the place because this subject is all over the place for me, but it looks like one of the more cohesive statements I have here is that love, at my current level of understanding it, is in some way seeing your own moreness reflected back to you in something else,
Wow.
or seeing your
Wow.
sort of the connected moreness of everything.
Big old cat sitting on the fence here.
Nice.
Yeah. There's a whole bunch of them around here. Big one. Wow. Yes. Love is, or the universe is your love reflected back at yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Wow. I love that it's a bit messy because when it comes to love, it's messy and it's very hard to pin it down. And I don't know if we want to pin it down.
Right.
So the very fact that it is open and a bit squishy, it is absolutely appropriate and kind of needs to be that way because it's part of the communication, the understanding, the awareness, the discernment involved is that love has a fluidity and a flexibility to it, a variability, and that's as part of the understanding of love. Yes.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So very appropriate, very appropriately phrased, that it communicates that potential to it, right? Yeah. Non-definitiveness. Wonderful. Wonderful.
Okay, the next one I had is that right and wrong are contextual.
Yes. Yes. They're variables. Yeah. Yeah. Wow, that's very powerful. Man, that's, again, as a definitive life-changing awareness, this is incredibly huge. It's so simple and so obvious once you know it, but man, it's huge, right? Massive, massive, massive blockage point for most. Yes. And this understanding, and you didn't say variables. I added that on just my own commentary there, but you said the contextual. Man, oh, you're bringing context into things. Just the word context in that context is profound. Yeah. Context defines good and bad, right and wrong, etc. Yes. By implication, when I start unpacking the fractal, I get that. Yes. Yeah. Oh, very appropriate. My background, very fractally unpacking. Yeah, man, perfect.
Okay, the next one I had is things are already perfect.
Yes.
And I
For
had
me, yeah. Go ahead.
the next one I had on a separate line, but for me, they're very much interrelated, was it all makes sense.
Yes, yes. Those two, I cannot emphasize enough how life-changingly profound, awesome, incredible, wonderful, genius, brilliant. The consequence of that is in my perception. I mean, I perceive brilliance, I perceive excellence, I perceive moreness as a consequence of having that understanding inside me.
One of the most
And that's an understanding rather than a discernment, right? Because you have to discern to get to that understanding. You have to go through the process. So yeah, that's a very end point culmination. Very sophisticated, but boy, it changes.
That's what I was going to say. I think both of those things are things that have to you have to come to those on your own after a lot of prior deliberation. They're hugely helpful. It would be awesome if everyone understood them. But those are absolutely awarenesses that you can force on someone.
Yes, those are consequence, spelled with a Quants. Yes.
Spelt with a what? Q-U.
At the end, consequence.
Oh.
Quants, right? They are consequence. Yeah, not they are consequence, they consequence. Yeah. They end points. They are something that you have worked out and figured out as a consequence. So they are the noun of consequence. Yes. A consequent. Yeah.
Yes.
If we're going to be fiddly and since language came earlier, we were like really nuanced and making these variants on it, which is they totally legit, of course. Any word is legit, really, but at least within the pre-existing consensus already legit. That's what I'm trying to say. I love that. And that yes, it's already perfect now, and it is it all makes sense. This is really profound. When you start with those, your world rearranges because you've got the pin in the swirl. You pinned it in a different place, in a different way, and it's revolving around this, either perfect or makes sense. Either way, doesn't matter, right? I mean, both together is ideal, but now you have everything flows differently. Everything revolves, radiates, circles, interacts. It's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. One little pinpoint changing the entireness of the entire universe of our personal universe. Yeah. So again, see, this to me is taking the idea of the commandments. Commandments is a very primitive word, very primitive conceptuality, right? Just the word commandment is very primitive, as far as I'm concerned. It's very basic. It's very first step. Fine. It's useful for some people. They need commandments. But then you start moving up. You start upgrading, right, to aspirations, or maybe ambitions first, aspirations. I don't know what the hierarchy would be, if there is such a thing even, but at least, or you may jump around. Yeah. And then you've got affirmations and, ambitions, aspirations, like I said, intense. Okay. But here we come to understandings, awarenesses, discernments, knowings, beingnesses, which are so core fundamental that there's not really a more to go from them, because simply the awareness, the knowing of them is consequential, and it changes your universe, your reality. Yes. Like in some of the stories, they say, well, I can't tell you because it's going to change your world. It's sort of like secret power, knowledge, knowings. Well, there you go. This, to me, is the equivalent of that, of a power knowing that just once you know it, it changes everything. However, of course, like you said, you have to come to that knowing for yourself. Yes. Not necessarily by yourself, but for yourself. There's a big difference. It doesn't have to be by yourself, but it is for yourself, right? You can come to it by with somebody else, but still has to be for yourself, right? You can do it with somebody, but still has to be for yourself. Very cool. Talking about others, Joe had a good birthday. Yes. Oh, good, 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 good. So these are like foundation stones of self.
Yeah.
And the foundation sense of self, when we define self as an integral, connected, interrelated aspect, part, unity, conjoinment to the universe.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Self, universe, one and the same, spectrum, continuation. So these are definitive for the self/universe, right? Or self-universe.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. These are what gives it shape and reality. Yes. And particularly gives a universe we wish to be in.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. I don't wish to live in a universe where choice does not create reality.
Right.
I do believe it's possible, but this is mine. I don't wish to live in a reality where it doesn't make sense and it's not perfect. Thank you very much. You can have it. That's you. You might believe that this is it. I don't wish to. And this is not a belief. It's not a hope. It's not a wish. It's a reality to me. Yeah. Does it mean it's the only reality? Not necessarily, but it's a reality that I am in because I want it. My deep, deep subconscious self that's spinning all of this, whatever, however, that is the core. That's at the very root of it. Yes. All the complexity spins around that. It's the center point. It's where I can find myself. Yes. What I really, really, really insist on, never mind what.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Don't you insist that your universe, your reality makes sense?
Yes.
And then if it's capable of making sense, well, I'm going to insist that it's perfect as well.
Right.
Yeah. This is our deepest core inner predilection. Yes.
It's true.
It's the very essence of who we are.
Yep. Without that,
Defining. Yeah.
the rest of it really makes sense.
Say that again, please.
Without that foundation,
Right.
none of the rest of it makes sense.
Correct. Never mind doesn't make sense. It doesn't matter. It's pointless. It's purposeless. It's meaningless. It has no significance. And everything implodes. Just like that. Without that. Yes?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. So it is the very fractal, which is our creation fractal.
Mm-hmm.
Yes?
Yeah, absolutely.
And the word went out on the face of the void. The word was perfection. The word was makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
The word was choice. Yes? That's it. Any one of these fractal conceptions or trust, because they are fractal and they lead to all of the others, any one of them could be used to seed a new universe. Yes?
True.
At least the universe of Erica Jayne.
Right.
Yeah. This is, man, blowing my socks off here. Please keep going.
Um, okay, the next one is kind of all over the place too. It's just a long one, but I think what I'm getting at is that gratitude and appreciation are not just about accepting things the way they are, they're about getting
Yes,
value from
yes,
what you're
yes,
appreciating or grateful for.
yes, yes, yes. So appreciation, again, I'm not a wildly fan of gratitude, but all right, let's put them both in there. Appreciation and gratitude is about a relationship that we choose.
Right?
That's the magic of it. I don't have to do it. You throw out gratitude now, which may have that implication, but appreciation. Oh, appreciation is just bonus. I don't need to do this. I've got everything else already that you've said in your phrase. Wow, it's all fantastic. But that it's the gravy, the flavor that I add as bonus on top of everything else. Don't have to do it, but it's extra bonus. It's pure gravy. Yes.
I think something that I was getting at, if I'm remembering correctly, in this point for me was the concept of gratitude. You know, that's something that's thrown around all the time in terms of
Yes. Yes.
making you a good person, or,
Yeah.
you know, that's one of the sort of values you're supposed to have, is to be grateful.
Yes.
And a big clicking moment for me was recognizing that gratitude isn't just taking something, whatever, whatever element of your life, and just saying, I'm grateful for this. I'm glad that this exists. Whatever. It's about, if you are really being grateful, if you are truly being grateful, you are getting value from that thing. It's not just the act of saying, I'm
I see what you're saying. Yes. Yes. Very profound, nuanced awareness. Correct. Correct.
feeling.
Yeah.
If I'm really truly grateful for this, I'm extracting the value from this thing. It's
Correct.
not just a statement that I'm making.
Correct. 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 Yes. The act of being appreciative is an act of obtaining value. Yes. Appreciation is value. Yes. Like gravy is value.
Yes.
It adds, it enhances, it gives value. Yes. Yes. Yeah. Very cool. Very cool. Very cool. Very cool. So I would, you could encapsulate it to say just that. Appreciation. No, now I'm stuck for the word. I was going to say gives or creates, but okay. Yeah. Or just say appreciation equal value,
Right.
or appreciation is value. Yeah. 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 That's how I would say it. Appreciation is value. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Makes
But
sense.
that's me. That's me. That's your list. That's your list. That's your list.
Um,
Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it.
Next one I had was the concept that our feelings are, I have it stated that feelings are attunement. Um,
Yeah.
what I was really getting at here, I think, is that our feelings, whether they are quote unquote justified or not, doesn't really matter. Every feeling we have is I never did come up with a good word. Like, I think I kept saying sort of flag, but I never came up with a good word for what I was trying to say. But basically, all of our feelings, good, bad, or otherwise, justified or otherwise, are information for us. They are an input for us. They tell us
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
about where we're at. And
Yeah.
so, it's basically
Yes.
it's really important to pay attention
Yes.
to your feelings,
Yes.
not
Yes.
say,
Yes.
well, I'm feeling this and I don't really know why, and it doesn't matter because, whatever, this is just how I feel. That your feelings are signals for you to tell you
Yes.
something important that you need to know.
Yes. Yes. So we could say, just off the top of my head here, that if I'm doing a repeat back, feelings are reality positioning mechanisms. They position us in reality and potentially position our reality around us.
Yeah, that's,
Yeah.
yeah.
So feelings are reality positioning mechanisms, devices, whatever.
Yeah.
Interesting. Oh man, that's huge. I agree. I absolutely agree. Because our feelings shape our reality.
Right.
They shape it. They're not necessarily a consequence of it. They shape it. And I think this is where most don't make this inverted connection. They assume their feelings come from reality. No, it's the other way around. It is profound philosophy of opposite. Yes.
Yeah.
Our feelings create and shape our reality. Yeah, yeah. Very powerful, Erica. I mean, unbelievably powerful. And now, when we start to look at the feeling belief loop, we see the incredible power of that and the necessity of understanding this appropriately so that we don't get stuck into feeling belief loops that create a crappy limited reality.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Wow, wow.
Right.
That's a very, very profound philosophical point there. Very cool. Very cool. Yes.
My,
Yes. Yes. But a point I try to make as much as I can, but struggle somewhat to do so.
it's another one that's hard to, it's kind of hard to explain or experience it until you have experienced it yourself, I guess.
Correct. 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 These are purely knowings from having known.
Right. Right.
These are knowings as a consequence of it. But how the hell does that work? You'll figure it out. Don't worry about
Yeah.
it. When you get there, you'll know. Yeah, but. Sorry, man, tough shit. Yeah, but.
Uh, okay. My next one is our absolute value as beings is constant and unchanging.
That's just beautiful.
That was a really big one for me. I remember.
It's beautiful. Ah, it's just gorgeous, beautiful, delicious, delightful, joyous, magical. See, Erica Oasis right there.
Mhm. Yeah, this was a
I
this.
think you need to put that in quotes and put Erica Oasis behind it. Sorry, that's just me. But yeah, absolutely appropriate. Yeah. That is oasising right there. Yes?
Mhm. It's true.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's hard to, when you sit here in the comfort of our homes and you can walk to a tap and get water, it's very hard to appreciate the full value of an oasis.
Right.
When you be stuck out there and you don't really know where it's coming, and you're sucking and your tongue is swelling up and it's all sticky and all this shit, right? And you're dehydrated and you kind of not thinking straight and everything is just horrible and miserable and you're irritated as hell and it's just horrible, right? I mean, it's torture. Then you get this oasis and suddenly it all becomes magic again. It's really hard to express until you've experienced it to really know how much that is. So it's a big deal. And I've only had it mildly. I never suffered that, really extreme, like that. So I still have to extrapolate to get there somewhat, but I do have enough to be able to imagine. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, will you read it again, please? It was really beautiful.
There it is. Our absolute value as beings is constant and unchanging.
Yes, yes, yes. It's not something, but see, this is again philosophy of opposite implication, the fractalness of this. Oh, oh, oh. Yeah, I'm living in a bubble. I'm living in an illusion. I'm living in a delusion.
Mm-hmm.
An illusion is not of my doing. A delusion is of my doing, correct?
Yeah.
And this is the delusion that I'm laboring under, that I need to increase my value. Can't actually be done. Why? Because it all makes sense and it's all perfect already. So I'm looking to get to a pre-existing moreness that's there. My value is, well, it may be infinite, but it's pre-existing, it's constant. Yeah. Yeah, very magical. Yeah. It's not to acquire value, but to connect to the value that's already there. Yes, that's the bottom line, right? That's the action that comes from it.
Yes.
To realize that I'm uncovering the value, not adding. It's a very big difference. Very, very, very big difference. Yeah, yeah. So it takes ego right out of it. Because ego's like, oh, but I want to be special. Like compared to this, I'm nothing. Yeah, you're right. You never count. But at the same time, you were everything. Yeah, but that doesn't work. It doesn't work for me. I don't get anything out of that. It's like, come on, I can't get any shine out of that. Yeah. It's fascinating how actually you would think this is ego's wet dream, but no, it actually screws up ego, right?
Well, I had somewhere, this one I put a long addendum on, and somewhere in there I had something about the concept of like relative value.
Yeah.
And I can't remember what I was telling you about the one of the Ram Dass things I was listening to. He was talking about this really interesting discussion during a Q&A recording about paradox. Someone asked him about that. They had some specific question, but it was more or less about paradox. And he gave this really interesting response. And one of the things he said was that the way he looks at sort of different planes of reality are sort of like a pyramid. And he said, there is a level of reality that exists where everything is one. There is, one.
Yeah.
And at the physical level, everything is binary. And this is where we get into this paradoxical. Because in our minds, we can logically make sense of sort of what contradictory existing at two different planes of reality. But when contradictory exists in the same plane of reality, then it becomes a paradox in our brain.
Yeah. Interesting. Yes. Say that again, please. The
concept that at the level of oneness of reality, there is absolute value. Your absolute value never changes.
Yeah.
But the level of reality that we are experiencing form is where ego exists, because now you have moved from one to at least two.
Yes.
So ego comes in, and this concept of sort of relative value becomes a thing, because now you're looking at value that others assign you, or that you assign others, rather than your absolute value. It's just, I don't know, it's just an interesting.
Yeah, it's very interesting, very, very, very powerful too, because when we understand ego and understand this in the context of ego separating from the all, right? In that moment of separation, ego is so infinitesimally small that it has no possibility of perceiving the all. It is outside of its cognitive ability. So ego believes itself to be the one, the only, the biggest, the allest of everything. And this is where this false idea of its specialness comes in. That's why I said, when ego becomes aware of this pre-existing value concept, it's like, bugger it. Well, now suddenly it remembers, and all that truth reality starts to come together, and well, there goes its specialness.
Right.
Very, very powerful. Very, very powerful. Also, Karen.
Well, I was just going to say, I have a hard stop at 2, which is in about.
Is that now? Okay.
wanted to say
It's in
that.
about what?
What?
How many minutes till 2?
Fine. So I figured I would go ahead and mention that I have to. Oh,
Oh,
well,
good. Oh, good. Oh, wonderful. Okay. Oh, we still have some time. All right, brilliant. It cut out when you said the number.
well, it's 2 o'clock now. It just
Oh, okay. Okay.
so I have
Oh,
to go. That's why I was trying to say that early because I wanted to give us time
all
to.
right. Okay. Okay. Off you go. Bye bye. We'll continue this with paradox next time. I have something very important to say. All right. Bye bye. Bye bye. Bye bye. Bye bye. Bye bye.
Subject of
I
paradox.
love you dearly. You are wonderful and magical and glorious.
Love you too.
Oasis in my heart. Bye bye, Erica Jayne. We'll see you next time. See you
Week
next time.
after next. Yeah.
Yes, sadly, but I shall survive. I shall survive. Yeah,
Until next one.
barely, but I will.
Oh dear. All right. Bye. Have a good one, Sal.
You too. Bye bye, Erica. Bye bye.